Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Legends of the Tree World. Tonight, I'm bubbling over with excitement and anticipation. I've managed to double up the legend content with two special top-notch guests. Put away your 5-hour energy drinks and your Red Bull. We've got the extreme energy of the LeVangie sisters, Bear and Melissa, waiting in our virtual green room just over there. Philippe Armando, let's connect us to the US of A and welcome Bear and Melissa.
It's so nice to be here. Thank you for having us. Thank you so much for the honor to be on your show.
In the tree world, you need absolutely no introduction, but to our viewers, let me just say that they're going to be in for a mega dose of positive energy, heaps of knowledge, sage advice, as you two are absolutely trailblazers for women in the arboriculture world. So Bear and Melissa, it's no secret that you're the pride of New England, but where exactly in those 6 states do you come from?
We are from Massachusetts, in particular, a very small town called Halifax, which if you're looking at the state with the big elbow and the horn around, we are just southeast of Boston by about an hour.
Yeah, we have a Halifax up this way, but out in Nova Scotia, right?
Yeah, so it's just on the start of headed out towards Cape Cod, if you will, by geographic region. Of course, everybody on the Cape is like, oh, that's not even close, but
it's there, right?
It's there, right.
So as youngsters, did you always have good access to trees and nature? And what was it about growing up in your environment there in Halifax that led you down to the path towards a profession of tree care? Where did the passion start?
We grew up in a place that was forest surrounded by cow pasture. Pasture being corn for feed. Cumberland Farms, every road you went down, there was a cow, there was corn everywhere. And so my mom, when we were kids, said, get out of the house, you're driving me crazy. Don't come home until it's dark. Go play, go play. So we spent all of our time in the forest, and we would make forts and trails and climb trees and climb birch trees and bend them over and then climb up the next one and bend them over and climb the next one and bend them over. And so we spent all of our time in the woods, and that was where truly home was. We both went into fields of forestry and then later on found arboriculture and never looked back. Yeah, and it really is from that, upbringing. It's funny when you, as an adult, and you look at how you were put into the path of whatever you choose. And there's no question about for where we had the opportunity to grow up is what drove us. It just took us a while to find it. It's a pretty interesting path to see.
I get a sense that you kind of mentored each other along the way. Am I on kind of taking each other's energy as you went down the path?
I would say that I initially found arboriculture first, even though we were both interested in trees from when we were kids. And I found it through forestry serendipitously. I went to the University of Massachusetts in Amherst, Massachusetts, and I went for forestry, and it felt good, but it didn't fit right. And long story short, with the experience of forestry, I had a couple of constant mentors that would poke at me and said, well, what are you going to do when you grow up? And somebody said, have you ever thought about arboriculture? And I said, I don't even know what you just said to me. I'm like, what word do you speak of? Ironically, my college was here at the university, and arboriculture was here in the university, and I didn't even know. Literally a stone's throw away. And, it's clear to you as his mentor usually says. And yeah, I found arboriculture, and then I basically went, Bear, you go!
What I found over here.
Exactly.
Come
and,
see.
Yeah. And then long story short, I learned how to climb and kept being asked. And then I said to Bear, who, obviously we're, genetically a mutation of each other. I said, you're going to love this.
It's so important for us to have mentors, and equally important for us to transform into mentors for others. It's something for us to all strive to be. It's this crazy, like, subconscious dynamic where we kind of like just cruise along with our various mentors, and they're guiding and advising us. And at some point, it somehow flips where we become the mentors and offer that same guidance and advice to our mentees. I know, looking back at my little career, it's like, it started out with my mom. She was like a green thumb, and I was quite the handful as a little one, as you can imagine. And I'd get grounded, right? And she was always of this mind that, she'd commute my time if I did work around the yard. So she'd be like, oh, well,
you were good and the spirea is finished flowering, so we can prune it and shape it up.
Roots and suckers growing up, and guys, hello? Hello?
Oh,
I was talking
what?
about me.
Oh.
Me.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Hi. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. A little awkward. Okay, where were we? Back at this. What kind of formal training did you receive back in the early days as you went to college and you discovered this programming of arboriculture? And how did you know when you firmly kind of grasped the concept of arboriculture and wanted to really go down the path?
I would say really it was about individual classes and working with mentors to really give me that closer lens.
That
My
focus?
lens was my lens was so much bigger, and so that focus allowed me to then understand where I wanted to go as individual career paths. It just broadened my skills. And then what I recognized is that continually people just kept asking me questions, and I realized, oh wow, okay, I'm there. Oh,
You became the mentor.
yeah, I became the mentor.
That's right. So that crazy switch wherever that happens.
If I can add one more thing on that, for me, when I was going to university, I went to University of Montana for forestry, and I found tree biology for the first time. And from tree biology, not knowing anything in my mind, but knowing everything at the same time. I walked into class, I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense. And that makes perfect sense. And that makes perfect sense. And then having study groups where I'm leading the study group because it all makes perfect sense to me. And everybody else is like, how do you know that? Because I used to climb trees. Yeah. Because I spent all my time in the forest and it all makes sense. Why does that not make sense to you? And then going from, that to tree ID and a class, lab, and, being the nerd practicing Latin names and spelling. And everybody's like, how do you remember if it's the E or the I first? I'm like, because it's Latin, because it's liquid ambar, styraca flua. Hello.
I couldn't even explain to somebody because it was just whack. Like some of the things you had to do to remember,
Yeah, it was so fun. And I guess that was the first time in my life that I knew I was on the right path with trees. And then furthermore, when Melissa brought me into arboriculture, that was when I was studying forestry. But when Melissa brought me into arboriculture, same thing. Shortly thereafter, people then started asking me questions. What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? And the role changed very quickly. Yeah.
It's quite the phenomenon when that happens. When you look back at your early days entering into the industry, through your eyes, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen for women in navigating their way through the arboricultural industry?
One of the things that I really want to emphasize is that since I've been a part of this industry and my ability to latch on to people who are just naturally givers and want to see the industry succeed, I feel like it's my personal mission to make sure that those individuals who have coached me over the years are constantly recognized for their efforts, because the majority of those people have been all of my male counterparts. I've had very few women mentors, and those individuals have believed in me. And so they've been instrumental at letting other people rise up. And it has been absolutely incredible. And I don't think they get enough credit. Because there tends to be this lever that tends one needle goes to one direction or the other, and there's this clear light of individuals that are just like people need to rule together and propel each other.
That giving somebody a boost and seeing them all of a sudden get traction and take off, then watching what you've done with your programs and stuff. And this leads in nicely to my next question is about, can you tell us a little bit more about the Women's Tree Climbing Workshop and that you developed and nurtured into global preeminent training program for women entering or seeking to take their arboricultural skills to the next level? Can you tell me a little bit more about your program?
Sure. We started in 2009, and we were basically, people kept coming and saying, how do I do that? I want to know, 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 I want to know. And so we started off on a one-day program, and everyone said, when you submit a survey, everybody says, well, what could we have done differently? 2 days, make it longer. 3 days, make it longer.
Summer camp.
Yes, a summer retreat. So we recognized that what we were focused on was the right avenue, and it was an introductory place where people could get their foot in the door and feel comfortable and feel safe in a place that they could learn at their own pace, and not the information being shoved in it too fast down their throat and then leaving going, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
The Women's Tree Climbing Workshop has mostly been a volunteer organization until this year, where I left my full-time position with a utility company and committed to my full-time career into escalating and elevating our Women's Tree Climbing Workshop into a place where we can actually offer more trainings in more locations. And we used to offer 1 or 2, maybe 3 workshops a year, but this year in 2022, even past COVID and in COVID, we're offering 6 workshops this year. And it's been overwhelmingly wonderful. What we've offered is a network of women across the country, if not across the world, because we have women across the world that come, one here, one here, one here. But if you're in that Women's Tree Climbing Workshop, abbreviated WTCW network, you know that everybody has the same information that you know. And it is a wonderful learning environment and a wonderful grow. It's constantly growing. And it's truly mycelial. One of the reasons why it's been softly moving forward is because, like Bear mentioned, it's been mostly volunteer. I mean, we don't have a significant budget. We don't come from a pool of resource to startup fund or, have any of these, multi-financiers supporting us. No. And every person that has given their blood, sweat, and tears outside of Bear and I, this has been a unit of people that has been just full of love and want to give to make sure that others have a platform and a space where they can learn in an environment where it supports how they learn. So it's been awesome. Yeah. and I'm going to give a plug, if I may. We can't do without the sponsorships that we get from people. Right. So oftentimes people that go through our workshops, they then turn around and then will donate a scholarship for somebody else to come. So they pay it forward. We have Yale and Petzl and
Arboriculture,
of course, Arboriculture, and on and on and on. We have perennial people that sponsor us through Patreon, which is a monthly subscription, so to speak. And $5 here, $5 here, $5 here a month. What it does is it builds our scholarship fund so we can allow more people to come and get into the career of arboriculture by learning to climb trees. Most people that go through our program, I would say that 10% of them stay within arboriculture, but all of them leave with a sense of trees that they never knew before, and now they're madly in love and share that passion with either their family or all their friends. Arborwear has been one of our long-lasting, since the beginning, supporters.
They've supported me. They've sent me shirts. Like, they're beautiful people.
Beautiful people.
Yeah.
And what's so great about it is that, a sponsor already has relationships with other sponsors or manufacturers or people, whether they're companies like Harrison McPhee or at another vendor like At Height, or I know there's just like so many the support networks that come for it. And as Bear mentioned, then individuals then become supporters outside of maybe, again, funding a scholarship for somebody else to come. So there's like this perpetual pay it forward sense that is just so beautiful.
I just love it that you guys gave it your all while having a day job. So you created this, and now you've made the leap to leave your day job to take this on. And it's gonna, I know it's absolutely know it's gonna take off. And I love the fact that people may not necessarily make a career of your workshops, but their enlightenment and their enthusiasm for trees, seeing it in a totally different lens, is now reality. So congratulations, you guys. That's so cool.
Thank you.
Love it.
I have to say, one of the fun things about the workshop is that what we've recognized is it opens up another way for people to see trees, just like as you were saying, outside of arboriculture, that connects people with arborists that never knew that an arborist existed or that arboriculture existed, which is awesome.
There's people that look after trees.
Yeah.
I thought trees looked after us, but now we're going to look after trees.
Right. So good.
Wow. What would you guys recommend for somebody new into the industry?
Volunteer, because your network grows so quickly, and then immediately you recognize which path you want to go down. Arboriculture provides so many different avenues of career choices. So if this is really a career that you're interested in, a career surrounded by trees and for trees, you'll quickly recognize whether it's utility or whether it's education or whether it's commercial work or whether it's
entomology or pathology.
Entomology or pathology. or, you know, scientific journaling, or all this kind of other, there's many, many facets of which we can go down. Once you volunteer, your network grows so quickly. And so I would say that that is the absolute key.
So we're at the point where I'm going to give you some quick hit questions. What's your sport of choice outside of the world of arboriculture?
Ooh, that's hard.
Y'all play ice hockey?
Disclaimer.
Okay.
We grew up as the mega athletes. So you name them, we've done them and used to compete in them. So
Wow.
track and field, soccer, softball, oh my God, volleyball, cross country, oh my gosh, broom ball, ultimate frisbee, hiking, all of that. Yeah, biking, anything outdoors is great.
We're going to move on. What's your favorite tree to work in?
Ooh, I would say a really lovely mature oak with spready branches. Beautiful limb walks that you can do a tip reduction. Yep. And by removing 15%, you can remove 50% of the weight. Reducing mature trees where crowns need to be reduced, whether there's a target or whatever. Yeah, oak trees are just so much fun.
What's your best tip for a guy like me to do like a pre-climb warm-up stretch? Like what do you do when you're up the tree, you're getting all ready off?
Go for it. Okay, so this is incredibly dorky and really, really fun.
Love that.
A friend of ours taught us the washing machine. If you stand back, you put your feet below your hips and make a bowl with your hands and create a wash tub. And you're washing the clothes, washing the clothes, washing the clothes.
Got it.
And then you have to do the spin cycle.
Spin cycle. Got it. I like it.
And then you have to do the fast spin cycle.
Okay.
And then you have to wring it out.
So I'm going to watch for that when you're at the tree climbing championships. I'm going to keep an eye on.
It's really fun because you get all the body movements, either that or
Right.
just jumping jacks.
A little warm up. What do you have, Melissa?
For me, it tends to be a little bit more passive. I tend to go into that, yoga mode-ish, if you will. So a lot of tree poses, a lot of warrior poses, a lot of down-facing dogs, a lot of just easy stuff.
Yeah.
And then, and then go into throw on and then do some jumping jacks and then some, wacky jacks. That's it. So you're like, instead of just doing this, you whack.
I do the car dealership inflatey guy.
Ah! Love that dude.
Well, your favorite New England culinary dish?
Mashed potatoes. If
Mashed
it's done right, lobster bisque.
Petzl or cask lids?
Both. Yeah.
Safe.
Yeah.
That's safe.
Well, the reason why is because they depends on the model. And
Right,
depends,
yeah.
depends if you need mops or not. It depends if you have big hair or short hair.
Will I ever see either of you on a tour of the trees?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Again.
Right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up, and I just want to mention a little aside, I laugh at this, is having met you, Melissa, then I would be at different events and stuff and not really realizing that you had a twin sister. And I'd kind of look across the room and go, oh, there's Melissa. And I'd be like, hey, it was a crazy ride. And then Barry, you'd kind of look at me, you'd be like, yeah, okay. Then all of a sudden, Melissa, you'd walk into the picture and see me, you'd like, hey, and I'd be like, what was that?
What's happened?
Yeah, and now I got it. That must happen a lot, I'm sure. But people that show up with exuberance and and you're like, gotta be right.
Can I share one of my favorite stories about that ever?
Sure.
Many years ago, when Bear and I first went to college, this is after high school, we were 18. I went to visit Bear at her college for the first time. And I walked into the cafeteria and Bear was on the other side of the cafeteria and I was doing whatever. And this person comes up to me and is like, and I just look at the person and go, and they looked at me going, what's wrong with you? And I said, I'm not the person who you think I am. And they're like, what? And I said, that's the person you think I am. And they went, and turned white as a ghost.
I can see that. That must be big for some funny situation.
It's wonderful. It doesn't get old.
Well, I want to thank you, Bear and Melissa, for joining me tonight. And it was a thrill for me to learn more about both of you and your vast contributions to the arboriculture industry via your women's tree climbing workshop. You're certainly legends of the tree world in my books, like both of you, and keep on rocking in the tree world.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, hey, everybody. I just want to circle back and give special thanks to the Canadian Tree Fund for their sponsorship for this episode. Please visit their website and help support other worthy projects such as tree research, educational initiatives, and establishing best practices for arboriculture in Canada and around the world. The Tree Fund is a registered charity and consists of volunteer directors. Thanks again to my friends over at the Canadian Tree Fund. Cheers.